Rays versus Astros recap. The Rays, who had been undefeated at home at the Trop, no more. Jumping right into game one, Taj Bradley versus I can never say his name correctly. You guys know who I'm talking about. But in the first inning, Taj Bradley with a little bit of a rough start, leadoff triple, and Kyle Tucker sac fly to bring home the first run of the game. So that makes it 1-0, and then not much later, Bregman, solo shot, 2-0. The Rays are able to answer back really quickly though. Wander Franco scores on a Randy Arozarena triple, that's 2-1. And then again, not much later, Harold Ramirez with a double, Randy Arozarena scores, 2-2. Headed into the third inning now, Pena with a solo shot, and that puts the Astros up 3-2. And then again, the Rays are able to answer back. Starts off with a Yandy Diaz single, then a Wander Franco double, and then Arozarena has a sac fly to bring Yandy Diaz home. In that same inning, Josh Lowe beats out a play at first base, and then that scores Wander Franco. So now the Rays have taken a 4-3 lead. Bethancourt then has a single, and that scores Paredes and Harold Ramirez. So now it's 6-3 Rays. And after this inning, Taj Bradley really locks in and is able to put together a pretty good outing, while Urquidy runs up his pitch count and has to exit the game pretty early. So he exits the game in the third inning, and that was his night, 1, 2, 3. Later on, Kevin Kelly ends up entering the game for Taj Bradley in the sixth inning. So we go scoreless those few innings. And Kevin Kelly, he looked good in this outing. But that dude's release is absolutely insane. He looks, I'm knocking on wood, but it just looks painful the way he throws. Every time he throws, I'm just like, God. But in the sixth inning, Ray's old friend Ryan Stanek enters for the Astros, and then Paredes hits an RBI single, and it's now 7-3 Rays. And then in the seventh inning, the final run of the game scores. Wander Franco scores on a Bethancourt single. That makes it 8-3, and then that would end up being the final score. Jalen Beeks gets the save. The Rays are 20-3 at that point, and that was 14-0 at home for the Rays. And Wander Franco, great night. 4 for 5, and I didn't even talk about that barehanded catch. What a play. Hand-eye coordination, athleticism, Wander Franco. We know it. Sliding over to game two now, that really was it for the Rays this series, hitting-wise. Pitching, it was pretty good throughout, but hitting-wise, yeah. Lineup went freezing cold. Game two is Rasmussen versus Luis Garcia, and Jose Siri, this is his first game back from the IL, and he's playing against his old team. Super happy to see Jose Siri back. He was hitting very well to start the season before his injury, and then we already know how great he is in the field. In the first inning, the Astros put big pressure on Rasmussen. Bases loaded with just one out, but he is able to escape on a forced play at home, and then a fly out shallow center, I believe, and that was that. Huge for him to get out of that inning, but the offense didn't help him. In the fourth inning, the Astros are able to get Jolks in position, so again, they're pressuring the Rays. The Rays aren't really pressuring back, but defense does its job again. Wander Franco, great diving play, and that was that. But then it just all comes crumbling down in the fifth inning. So Dubon starts the inning with a double, and then Jeremy Pena hits a double. That brings him home. Astros go up 1-0. Kyle Tucker then singles. That brings Jeremy Pena home. Now it's 2-0. Jose Abreu doubles. Kyle Tucker scores. Now it's 3-0. Jolks shot one hard to left. Randy Arozarena misreads it, tries to jump up and make the play, but is too high for him to be able to do that. So Abreu scores and is now 4-0. Myers then beats out a play at first base, so Jolks scores. Wander had a chance, but it would have taken a spectacular play for him to be able to get that out at first. So it's now 5-0. So Rasmussen exits there in the fifth after giving up those 5 runs, and Hembree, Rays debut, comes in and is able to get the Rays out of all of that trouble. In the sixth inning, the Rays are able to threaten. Wander Franco has a leadoff double, and they just really can't do anything with it. Paredes has a ball off the bat. It looked like it was out, but warning track, and that was that for the sixth. That ended up being the final score of that game, 5-0. Luis Garcia goes 6. He looked really good. Matone, Montero, and Ryan Presley also come in for the Astros and close it out. Shutout for them. Rays had Hembree, Poche, Beeks, and Adam all go scoreless, but again, no help with the offense. Leaves the score at 5-0. Pitching outside of that 5th inning was pretty good, but that 1 inning, again, with no help from the offense, that ends up being the final score. So after that stinker at the plate for the Rays, you hope in Game 3 they can bounce back, but no. Game 3 was Fauché versus Hunter Brown. In the 1st inning, Pena singles and is able to get all the way around to 3rd base on a wild pitch. And following that, Bregman hits a play that should have put the inning away with a double play, but Wander looks away from the ball before he scoops it because he's, anticipating that double, isn't able to gather it, and then that is an error on Wander. Pena scores, Bregman's safe at 1st, and 1-0. And I know we just started talking about Game 3, but 1st inning, 1-0, that was it. So we can talk about the pitching. Hunter Brown looked really good for Houston, went 7 scoreless innings, and really, the Rays never had much of a chance. Margot really seems like the only person in the Rays lineup that could really see him. He had 2 singles on him, but other than that, there was no real threat. Onto the Rays side of the pitching, great night for the pitching staff. Fauché did kind of give up that one, but not really because it was on an error. And then Fleming comes in, 6 great innings. You love to see that out of him. Birdie makes his debut for the Rays. That's a scoreless inning, so great night for the pitching staff, but Astros do win this one 1-0. Hunter Brown gets the W, and Ryan Presley gets a save. So the Astros do end up winning this series 2-1 at the Trop, and the story is the Rays' cold bats. I'm not really concerned, definitely not concerned. The Rays were 14-0. You see the home run numbers, you see the hitting numbers. It's going to happen at some point. The bats are going to go cold. They're going to have games where they don't really pressure, they don't score. It's gonna happen. It's a 162 game season. Not worried. I see what they can do when they're clicking, but series like these happen, nights like these happen. It's inevitable. But the pitching, still super happy with that. 1st game they give up 3 runs. In the 2nd game they do give up 5, but they all come in 1 inning. And in the last game they give up 1 on an error, and I don't really have no complaints about that. We saw 2 Rays pitchers make their debut. Both of them looked pretty good, so I'm excited about that. But you got to give your props to the Astros. They're missing Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Michael Brantley. I don't know what their exact record is right now. Maybe 14-11, 15-11, somewhere in that range. It's not going to last. They're going to end up pulling away from their division a little bit once they get healthy, I believe, and them being able to come to the Trop and take 2 out of 3 from the Rays, who have been red hot, especially at home with those injuries, is impressive. So props to them. And yeah, next up is a 4-game series against the White Sox, who I believe are on a 7-game losing streak right now. Before the Astros series, we just swept them, so this time it's at their place. Let's do it again. Also did want to talk about being able to watch Jeremy Pena and Wander Franco, 2 of the best young shortstops in the league. They're both just so impressive, so talented, and just being able to see them play 3 days in a row, that was quality shortstop. Both of them, like I said, super young. I say Jeremy Pena looked better in this series. I believe Pena's, if I had to guess, he's probably a couple years older, maybe 3 years older than Franco. Franco's still only 22 years old, which is ridiculous. So there's some plays in the field where you see he kind of doesn't have the experience, discipline in the field that Pena has probably gained over those 2 or 3 extra years, but they're both, without a doubt, going to be 2 of the best shortstops for years to come. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below your guys' thoughts on this series. Please like, subscribe, go Rays.